Governor Baker announced the eagerly anticipated plan for reopening the state on Monday, May 18th. It is a 4-phase approach, with each phase lasting a minimum of 3 weeks. If public health data trends are negative, the Commonwealth may need to return to an earlier phase. The Baker-Polito administration used a data-driven framework that considers the public health risk and the economic benefit of reopening closed sectors. Locally, businesses still have questions about what the plan means for them.
I would say generally, it's a really good, thoughtful plan. There's a lot of detail, there's a lot of advice, there's a lot of recommendations for businesses to follow so that they can be safe and so the public can feel safe. But we do think there are a few things that probably are a little bit confusing, or that I wish he had done a little differently. For example, the retail stores are one of the categories that's not allowed to open right now. And we're talking about the little, if you think about the little shops along Great Plain Ave or Chapel Street that are forced to close. They can now, starting next week, sell curbside, meaning you can call someone up and order something, but you're not allowed to go inside that store. We wonder why that is. We've learned over the last 2 months how to shop safely in grocery stores, how to shop safely inside pharmacies, and we would have liked to have some of those same standards applied to our retail stores. In other words, you could have allowed, limited customers, 1 customer at a time, 2 customers at a time, depending on the size of the store, into the store. But the plan doesn't do that. So that was a little disappointing to us. We're still really waiting to find out what restaurants can do. And restaurants is a very challenging category. I mean, it really is. There's obviously so many concerns about the restaurant experience. You walk into a restaurant and it's crowded, and that used to be part of what the fun was, to be in a crowded, energetic place. But unfortunately, we don't yet have from the state some of those critical guidelines. We hope that they will. A lot of things restaurants are going to have to do will be rethought. One short-term solution that's been looked at in a lot of places around the country is outdoor dining and encouraging that, because clearly right now you could spend the summer with enjoying a couple tables on the sidewalk, but those tables need to be pretty far apart. Maybe it means blocking off some parking spaces so that restaurants could have a few extra spaces out there. So while we're glad that the restaurants are the planning is going very carefully for restaurants, our restaurant owners really need some answers about what they're going to be allowed to do and what they're not be allowed to do. But hopefully outdoor dining is a big part of the solution, and that includes allowing restaurants to serve alcohol outside, which is something that no one is allowed to do right now. It requires a whole nother level of permitting. So the retail segment, we wish maybe moved up a little quicker. The restaurant segment has a lot of answers, but the other big component of the plan is offices, and that's where, starting next week, offices can start to repopulate. People can start bringing in about 25% of their capacity, and there's going to be a whole other array of decisions to be made for any office building in terms of keeping things clean, how you deal with restrooms, what you do, every doorknob that you touch, every elevator button, all is going to need rethinking and careful planning. And so our business community has their work cut out for them in terms of getting ready for what's next. This is just the beginning for the business community and for our nonprofits and every resident, really, to start to think about what's next and how we live under new guidelines and things that will seem strange to begin with, but we've already gotten used to the idea of standing in line to pick up our seedlings at Volante Farms, or waiting for someone else before we go into the grocery store, and stepping back in line at Trader Joe's. So all those things that really were unheard of or unimaginable a couple months ago, we've started to get used to. And I think as time goes on, we'll get used to more things and we'll adapt. And obviously the most important thing is that it's all done thoughtfully and that we keep the health of our residents and our employees and employers foremost. And it does seem everyone's committed to doing that.